Today, I'm going to show you one way poor people can buy land with no money. Let's go! Welcome to Becky's Homestead. You have the strong desire to buy land. You really want a homestead for you and your family, but you have no money, you have bad credit or no credit, and you just feel hopeless. Well, I'm here to tell you there is a way you can do it, and I know because I did it, and now I'm mortgage free. This is the perfect time of year to get started because you're going to be using your tax return, so don't touch it. Okay, step one is you're going to scour the papers. I found when I was doing this, the little local papers just had the best deals. And what I did is, if you live in this county, obviously you're going to get the papers in your county, but cross the line into the other counties around you if this is the area, general area you want to live, and get all the papers from all the counties. And then go home and just sit there with a Sharpie and just scour the papers. And obviously what you're looking for is owner finance. You're trying to look for land for sale by owner because there's no way you can go through a bank. A bank is never going to give you a loan because you have no money for a down payment. You have bad credit or no credit. So forget it. They will not even consider you. But there's still hope in doing it this way because that's what I did. This is my personal motto that I live by. Small, small, small. Go small. You don't need as much as you think, and just in your mind, you picture this huge, big thing. Let me assure you, that is a lot of money, a lot of work, and a lot of maintenance. Go small. You can squeeze things in your land and make things wonderful and save money. And you won't have to spend the rest of your life working to pay taxes and to cover all your expenses. So don't forget, go small. 2 to 3 acres is plenty of land for a homestead. So what you want is 2 to 3 acres, and once you find a good prospect, call the number. Call up the owner and ask him how much they want for the down payment. Just be friendly and honest. I find that's the best way to be. Just be direct. And if he says the down payment is too big that he's asking for, just say, I can't afford that. And, you know, sometimes you can work out a deal and they'll lower that down payment, especially if they feel like you're nice and honest and they can work with you. And the second question you want to ask him is, how much of an interest rate do they want on the deal, the sell? And you want it between 8 and 10%. That's what I personally go for. You're not going to get a fabulous interest rate like a bank would give you because you're just not going to do that when you're owner financing. You know, that's where they're going to make a little money. That's what's in it for them, is making a little money off the interest that, you know, they're holding the loan for you. So between 8 and 12% to me is fair. Okay, so if everything's sounding good, you're getting a good feel for it, and you know what he says or she is agreeable to you, get the full legal address of the property, including the county it's in. And what you're going to do with that is you are going to go on the county website and you're going to go to the property appraiser's office. You want the zoning department, and you have to look and see if that property is zoned residential, agricultural. That's a combination. Residential / agricultural. That is what you want. Or strictly agricultural. You know, usually strictly agricultural is on a bigger piece of property. And most likely, if it's 2 to 3 acres, it's going to be residential / agricultural, which is fine. While you're looking up the zoning, it has to have the word agricultural in there, or you're not going to be able to have a homestead. You're not going to be able to have the animals you want to raise your own food on a homestead. So that is so important. That is number one, is your zoning. So make sure you check that out for yourself. Don't take anybody's word for it, because people will just tell you what you want to hear to make the sale, or they just don't know and they'll just say whatever. But you want to see that with your own eyes from the county website. The second thing you want to look up while you're on that website is see if the property is in the 100 years flood zone. You really don't want a property that's in a 100-year flood zone because this is the reason. It's going to be a damp, kind of wet piece of property. And if you plan on having animals, that's never a good thing. If you want your animals to be healthy and problem-free, you need dry land, high and dry. It can't be muddy, damp, swampy, buggy property. It's just going to be miserable. So if the zoning and the flood zone check out, it's all good to go. You're going to drive to the piece of property. Always call the owner and make arrangements because you want to be able to get on the property, walk around, have a good look around, and you want to see if the property has a well. That's what I look for. That would totally be a plus. If there's a well, there's water on the property, that is awesome. If not, you can always add one. It is going to cost more money, but if it's a really, really good deal, like my property was a fabulous deal and it had nothing on it, but it was such a good deal, you know, I got it. But my other piece of property that I owner financed when I first got started, when I had nothing and 2 little kids and not a penny, that piece of property did have a well on it. So that was a big plus for me. A lot more properties than you think will already have a well and septic and power on them. It might be a lousy old trailer on there that's just run down and not livable anymore. It might be a property that had a trailer and they moved it. An old house that's been torn down or burned down. I mean, there's just so many different, you know, situations that the property has the well on it already. So, you know, look for those because those are a little extra plus. Once you get there and you get out and you get onto the property, what you want to see, since it's a small piece of property, is a flat piece of property. You want every inch of that property to be usable because, you know, it is a small piece of property on purpose, very intentional, but at the same time, you want to be able to use every inch of it while you're laying out your homestead. And you will just be so happy. So that's what you're looking for. You know, it doesn't have to be flat as a pancake, but you know, you want it flat generally, the whole piece. That is a really good plus. And remember this is a very, very important tidbit. Not every good deal is a good deal. I know people that buy property that seems like a good deal. It's a very low price and they're just like, wow, it's such a good deal. But in the end, it ends up being on a very steep piece of property. It's not usable. You can only use part of it. You know, it just has issues. It's not big enough in the end. It might say it's 2 acres, but then, you know, it's like a little tiny spot is only usable and you're paying taxes on the whole piece. So what you want to do is make sure it's a nice, flat, usable piece of property that's high and dry. So you found your perfect piece of property, the terms are really good, the down payment's agreeable, you went and had a look at it and it just, you know, it's zoned right, it does or doesn't have a well, everything looks great. Nice flat piece, it's not in the flood zone. The next step is you have to find a title company. What the title company does is it does all the research for a fee, they do charge. It does all the research to make sure the person you're dealing with is the actual owner of that property. It also checks out and makes sure that there's no liens on that property from the past. You know, somebody owed money and there's a lien on that. They make sure it's a clean title. Don't do it the old-fashioned handshake way. You might build your homestead up and have all the improvements, and then the person's like, thanks a lot. And then you'd have to go to court and sue and all that. It would just be the biggest nightmare of your life. So just make sure you find a title company and you go through a title company when you purchase your land. Okay, so the last step is you have your title insurance, you sign the contract, and you seal the deal with your signature. And congratulations, you are now a landowner. It is so exciting. And most importantly, it's very doable. And I know because I did it twice. And if you want to learn a little more, you can buy my ebook, Becky's Guide to Buying Land. The link is in the description below.